News 4, your local news leader. Now, live from Buffalo, this is News 4 at 4.
Right now at 4, Governor Andrew Cuomo makes a quick stop in the Queen City. His message to Western New York about the state's fight against COVID-19 and plans to reopen the state. Plus, another supermarket in our area is now serving as a coronavirus sample testing site.
My hope is that God's not done with her yet on this earth. She does so much good for so many people.
And fighting for her life. What we are learning about the young woman who was hit in a crash last week on Buffalo's west side. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us on News 4 at 4. I'm Christy Kern. In your top 4 at 4, Governor Andrew Cuomo says the number of COVID-19 cases is down across the state, but we're not out of the woods just yet. Here is a look at the breakdown in Erie County. As of this afternoon, more than 160 people have died from coronavirus. This map breaks down the more than 2,300 confirmed cases there. The city of Buffalo has more than 890 cases. The town of Amherst has more than 270 cases. Cheektowaga is the only other municipality reporting more than 200 cases of the virus in the county. And let's take a look at the rest of Western New York right now. Monroe County has more than 1,000 cases. Niagara County is closing in on almost 300 confirmed cases. 17 people have died there so far. More than 140 people have recovered, and Cattaraugus County is now reporting its first coronavirus-related death. There are 30 cases there, and all other Western New York counties are reporting at least 24 cases of coronavirus this afternoon. Now, Governor Andrew Cuomo is in Washington right now, meeting with President Donald Trump, and this morning he gave his daily coronavirus press briefing right here in Buffalo. Our News 4's Chris Horvanitz was there, and he joins us now live from downtown Buffalo. Chris, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Christy. It was the first time the governor had been to Buffalo since this coronavirus crisis began earlier this year. And Cuomo was here in part to highlight the fact that the state's different regions are at different spots on the coronavirus curve. Here in Western New York, Cuomo said he believes coronavirus cases have plateaued. So that was the governor's morning. He immediately left Buffalo for Washington, D.C. He's meeting with President Donald Trump at the White House this afternoon. I asked Cuomo about that meeting this morning. What will the focus of that visit be?
Testing. And what does testing mean, and how do we do it, and how can the federal government work in partnership with the states? It is a situation where you need everybody to work together, and you need to understand quickly who's in a better position to do what.
The federal government has left testing responsibilities up to the states, and Cuomo agrees with that. He's on board, but says the feds need to help when it comes to the supply chain, talking about testing materials. Cuomo announced this morning that there were another 481 coronavirus deaths across the state. Yesterday, hospitalizations were flat, and net hospitalizations were down a bit, though not as much as Cuomo said he would have liked. Even more heat on the governor to reopen the economy today, that coming from Southern Tier Republican Congressman Tom Reed, among others. The governor did announce he was putting in charge Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul to determine when Western New York's economy should reopen. And coming up at 5 o'clock, we'll share how Cuomo says he wants her to make that decision. Reporting live downtown, Chris Horvanitz, News 4.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Well, 32 more people have tested positive for coronavirus at the ICE Detention Center in Batavia. It brings the total number of cases at that facility to 45. Officials tell us those who have tested positive are quarantined and are receiving treatment. In March, the ICE enforcement and operations team started a working group to identify steps to minimize the spread. And this afternoon, they are now evaluating the detained population based on the CDC's guidance. And we are getting a clearer picture of the number of coronavirus cases at prisons across the state. Officials say the Wendy Correctional in Alton has more than 20 positive cases of coronavirus. There are no cases at the Albion Correctional Facility. And the state's report says there are more than 200 positive cases in the entire system. More than 50 people have recovered, and so far, there are 5 reports of deaths in the New York State prison. None of those are in Western New York. Well, 2 Tops markets in Western New York served as sample testing sites today. As News 4's George Rickert reports, the state health department is trying to find out what percentage of the population was already exposed to COVID-19.
Well, a Tops spokesperson tells me she's glad the governor reached out to the company because Tops has the most supermarkets statewide, allowing for the state health department to get the best random sampling.
I want to feel a little bit of relief. Yes or no? How cautious, just to know if I'm safe or not.
Jennifer Begain heard through a friend that the state health department was doing random testing at the Tops on Southwestern Boulevard in Orchard Park this afternoon to determine how many folks already are producing the antibodies to fight COVID.
They gave you the whole information, what's going to happen, how long it'll take. We waited maybe half an hour and a person came out and instructed us what was going to happen with the testing and how long it'll take, and the antibodies, just kind of educated everybody on the way in.
The lines were shorter at Tops University Plaza, where more tests were taken.
I wanted to find out, but you just can't walk in to get tested anywhere, So this made it very easy, and you can't have it any easier than this. It doesn't hurt. It's a small little prick on your finger like a diabetic does, and I'm a diabetic, so I'm used to it.
The state health department collected about 200 samples from each store, and they're done for today. They might already have well beyond the 3,000 samples they were shooting for statewide.
I think that, we're in the process of, this evening we'll have a better sense of all that we were able to accomplish here, both in the Western region and in the other parts of the state where we had aggressive testing efforts today. I think once we're able to total up all of those samples that we received, we'll have a better sense of the next steps in the process here. But we're feeling very confident that we got a tremendous sample size.
George Rickert, News 4.
Well, the leaders in 3 towns in Western New York are speaking out on their need for federal aid as they continue to lose revenue. The supervisors of Amherst, Eden, and Boston held a virtual news conference today. They say they'll have to make budget cuts if they don't get help from Washington. Boston Town Supervisor Jason Kedding says the town could raise taxes even though no one wants to do that.
We're looking at a tax base and telling people that have been out of work for weeks, months, we don't have an established timeline yet. We don't have a date on a calendar yet. So now we're looking at our constituents as a tax base of, do we either A, cut services, or do we look to you at raising taxes?
The deputy supervisor of the town of Tonawanda was also on the news conference. That's because town supervisor Joe Eminger is currently battling coronavirus. Well, the Senate is expected to approve a measure to give billions more dollars to small businesses and hospitals after a week of negotiations. Natalie Brandt is at the White House with the very latest.
Soon, the Senate is expected to pass a nearly $500 billion deal that will give additional funding for hospitals, coronavirus testing, and small business relief programs. Lawmakers estimate the Paycheck Protection Program has a backlog of hundreds of thousands of applications.
I've made a lot of decisions in reliance on that loan coming in. Right?
Doug Nevin, owner of a small New York law firm, was approved by his bank, then learned the money had run out.
It's unfortunately just creating a lot of uncertainty for employers at a time when employers are trying to maintain their businesses and maintain their payroll.
At the White House, testing tops the agenda as New York Governor Andrew Cuomo meets with President Trump.
I'm going to ask them to take this piece of this national manufacturers getting the test kits and the vials and the cotton swabs and the chemicals. Then the states can take it from there.
Monday night, the president tweeted he would take executive action to temporarily halt immigration, but didn't offer details. The State Department has already been restricting visas since last month due to the coronavirus.
I think that countries around the world have more or less controlled their borders to preserve, the health of their citizens.
Vice President Mike Pence traveled to Wisconsin to tour a GE facility building ventilators.
We've confronted the coronavirus epidemic across this country as one nation.
GE is one of several U.S. companies expected to produce tens of thousands of ventilators by the end of the summer after the president invoked the Defense Production Act. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
The KeyBank Center and M&T Bank have teamed up with Pagula Sports and Entertainment to fight COVID-19. It is a partnership with the First Niagara Foundation. Together, the companies will provide almost $540,000 in aid for frontline workers at Kaleida Health, Roswell Park, and ECMC. The money will help with funding hospital equipment, meals for workers, and hardship supports, and a whole lot more. Coming up next on News 4 at 4, the coronavirus pandemic continues to grow in Western New York. Niagara Falls City Councilman Bill Kennedy will join us live to talk about what the Cataract City is doing to slow the spread of the virus. Plus, President Trump and Governor Andrew Cuomo are meeting inside the White House right now to discuss the coronavirus pandemic. We'll bring you everything that comes out of that meeting coming up later on News 4. And we'll also check in with our chief forewarned meteorologist, Todd Santos, for Buffalo's most accurate forecast in just a little bit.
Get superior quality, energy-efficient windows built to last with Stanek Windows. Right now, buy one window, get one 50% off. Plus, enjoy no interest, no payments till April 2022. Trust the experts at Stanek Windows. Call today.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Who am I? Wow, is that really me?
Under eye bags and wrinkles are so frustrating. I came across Plexiderm and I was so excited. We have a model. All he's doing is taking a small amount. It's so powerful. That's all it takes. Tightens the skin and smooths it out. Gently rub it underneath your eyes, on your fine lines and wrinkles, and it visibly disappears in as little as 10 minutes.
You know, I felt something happening, but I had no idea. Like, I have so many dark circles. I have the puffiness. I have the lines. Like, it's amazing.
Holy words I can't say on camera. I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good, feels great, looks even better.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
When you think of a bank, you think of people in a place. But when you have the Chase mobile app, your bank can be virtually any place. So when you get a check, you can deposit it from here. And you can see your transactions and check your balance from here. You can save for an emergency from here. Or pay bills from here. So when someone asks you, where's your bank? You can tell them, here's my bank. Or here's my bank. Or here's my bank. Because if you download and use the Chase mobile app, your bank is virtually any place. Visit chase.com/mobile.
Get superior quality, energy-efficient windows built to last with Stanek Windows. Right now, buy one window, get one 50% off.
Well, right now, Niagara County has close to 300 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and that number is expected to rise. Niagara Falls City Councilman Bill Kennedy is joining us live right now via Skype with what the Cataract City is doing to tackle the spread of the virus. Councilman Kennedy, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you. I'd like to thank Channel 7 for the opportunity to inform and update the city of Niagara Falls, Niagara County, and all of our neighbors throughout Western New York.
So as I just said, there are now close to 300 cases in Niagara County. I know most of those cases are in Niagara Falls. Can you talk about the breakdown by town and city?
Well, we have currently, the updated number is 81 cases in the city of Niagara Falls. There are quite a few, bigger numbers throughout the area, North Tonawanda and some of the other municipalities throughout the county. My focus and my request for this was to let everyone know that keeps asking us, why is no one in Niagara Falls speaking up for us? Why aren't we hearing from the elected officials in Niagara Falls? And simply, it's more or less because of process. The tests that are being conducted through private doctors, through nursing homes, and they're reported back to the state. The county has been doing a great job of reporting the numbers that we get, but we do not receive those numbers until they're reported to the state. It's a complete trickle-down effect, and I just really want to keep the residents updated and in tune with the process versus the conglomerate of questions that are coming from all over the place.
What about when we're talking about recoveries? Why is there not a breakdown for town for recoveries?
Well, I asked about that, and I asked if we could even receive a breakdown for Niagara Falls. And I was told the same thing, because the tests are being conducted, because of, well, first and foremost, you're going to run into HIPAA laws. That's the big thing. So people's privacy as to where they live, what their age groups, some of those things can be revealed, but the actual technical breakdown is going to be protected by a HIPAA law. We have 143 recovered in Niagara County. We have 127 that are active, and unfortunately, we have had 17 deaths since this has started. 8 new cases, 127 that are currently in isolation. 109 of them are isolating at home, and 18 of them are currently in isolation in a hospital. And we've had a little over 1,300 tested.
As far as testing goes, how is it going as far as availability for tests at this point? Do you think the number of cases is accurately reflected, or could there be more cases because of there maybe not being enough tests at this point?
There are definitely not enough tests, and that's one thing, another point that I want to drive home that everybody, keeps asking me questions. I know at one point we requested 1,500 tests. We received 100. So look at the difference just in that particular request. We're way behind as far as testing. The other thing that I have felt, just a gut feeling from the beginning, because I do have a couple relatives in New York City that have become a statistic, unfortunately, and get those numbers, get those things. It's alarming that we don't have. If New York City is spiking, and now all of a sudden then they start dropping. Everybody thinks, oh well, New York City's dropping, we're going to drop. I kept telling everybody I feel like Niagara Falls and Niagara County is 2 to 3 weeks behind. And then I spoke with representatives from the county the last couple of days, and paper and multiple websites that the county director feels that the surge he feels is about to happen now, and that's scary. I mean, some people aren't taking this seriously, and that's obviously we're all humans. That's your prerogative. But to me, there's a difference between freedom and liberty versus being selfish. And for me, what do you get out of it by being defiant? What do you get out of saying, "Oh, I told you so"? I'd much rather say sorry. And for me, I'm trying to speak up for my city. I want this to be over with as quickly as anybody else does, so we can get back to what we once considered normal, even though it really wasn't normal. Now everybody's adapting to this new normal, and we want to live our lives. Everybody wants to do that, but do the best thing to protect yourself and your family. If you don't care about them, think about the other people.
Speaking of protecting ourselves, protecting our families and others around us, the governor is ordered to wear face covering in public places where social distancing is not possible. Just went into effect last week. How is that going in Niagara County so far, and what's your message for that?
I can honestly say that I've seen a lot of our facilities. I can proudly say that a lot of our residents, our workers, our employees, our essential workers, our first responders, everybody, not every single person, that's just not going to happen, but majority of the people that I have seen and come in contact with have had their masks on. Our local businesses that are open for essentials, they've got the proper protocols in place. I know at the very least the city of Niagara Falls is at least trying. I know there's going to be people that'll say, well, there's gatherings and there's these type of different things that are going on. And, I've encouraged them, if you see that, then, call the state hotline that, that is has been put in place for these scenarios.
And we are seeing more people needing food from food pantries with people out of work, kids out of school. What is the need like in Niagara Falls, in Niagara County, right now? And how are food pantries keeping up with that? And what do you think people can do to help in that case?
Well, the food pantries I know are receiving donations as quickly as they're physically able to bring them in. The one thing that I'm proud to say is that the city of Niagara Falls and the school district has leveraged our relationships together. The school district with Superintendent Mark Laurie and all of the workers throughout the district have been handing out anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 meals every day, and sometimes 2 meals, depending on when it gets towards the weekend. We are definitely top notch in that regard. I can't even believe the numbers that I hear sometimes when we know that there are tons and tons of families throughout the city of Niagara Falls that aren't fortunate enough to know where their next meal is coming from. And our school district and our city has done a great job with that.
Okay, Niagara Falls City Councilman Bill Kennedy, thank you so much for joining us and filling us in with this very important information. We appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you very much. And if I may, I'd just like to say thank you to all of our essential workers, the first responders, and everybody that's just doing a great job. It's just really, really awesome.
It really is so great to see. We appreciate them all so much. Well, coming up next on News 4 at 4, the new dating game, how people are trying to find love while social distancing. And President Trump and Governor Andrew Cuomo are meeting face-to-face at the White House right now. We'll bring everything that comes out of that meeting coming up later on News 4.